Hi, everyone. I'm Yssah.
I'm Sean.
And here we are in another live to talk about the path of remembrance, which allows us to tune and embody who we truly are. And this phrase of remember who you are, it's quite common. We see it quite often because when we talk about time, when we talk about space time, when we talk about emotions and the connection with the universe, being in an entangled universe, lead us to memory, to the space memory. Everything is anchored in a memory because we are information, we are energy, and that information translates as energy. And that's how we get to relate, to have step by step an idea of our origins, of how we got here, of our original potential. And actually, we do that day by day. Day by day, we remember a little bit. We run into magnificent experiences, magnificent beings that we get to mirror into them at different scales. And that allows us to complete pieces of ourselves and generate that wholeness. And the more that we are living in this reality, in this level of perception, multidimensional perception, we are capable to create and co-create realities that are stronger, that are more accurate, that allow us to expand simpler because we are generating a deep level of resonance in between us. Like just in the event that we were last week, which was a full disclosure now conference, and which we will also be talking about and sharing. Because one of the most remarkable experiences, at least from my perception, was the fact of re-encountering unique beings that allow us to remember that why we are here for, to take more seriously what we are doing. Even though we are playing, even though this is a game, take ourselves seriously, our powers, our skills, and mostly to focus in what you want, what you came here to create. When we create these networks with the people that we are in resonance with, like highly in resonance, that we're capable to evolve faster, to accomplish our mission, and do it in joy. And yeah, from a unified consciousness, it's just about embracing all the universe that we are experiencing, that we are creating, and honoring our cosmic nature with the choice of the how, not the what, because the what, as how I perceive it, it's already been given. Yet the how we're going to embody our experience in love, in joy, in resonance, in order. So,
Yeah, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to the show. Anybody out there, can you hear us? Can you leave a comment? Ask some questions. We're going in deep into remembering and memory, as well as going over the conference and how lovely it was. Absolutely, I agree. There was great spurring of memory at the Full Disclosure Movement.org conference in Florida that we went to, and we both got to present. Yssah went into a wonderful presentation on the plasma and the brain, and going deep into activating your greater awareness and technology. And you can talk more about that. And I went into psionics and how to unlock your abilities and get rid of targeting and bringing in positive ET's soul family. And I didn't get to fully get everything in my presentation. Unfortunately, time flew like really fast. It was crazy. But I will be eventually putting things up on that. So it's good. It's really good information on how to prevent negative abduction and bring in your positive soul family. And that's my presentation. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you, Millie, for commenting. Thank you, Mr. Floyd. Feel free to leave your comments, and if you have any questions on memory in this conference, feel free to go into it. What did your do you want to go more in depth into your presentation that you made?
I would love for you to go through that. I have to go and open the door.
Oh, why? Somebody's knocking. Great.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll go. As things knock at the door, things knock at your internal nexus point in your mind, asking you to look deeper into yourself and discover what's there waiting, that's been covered up, of the greater capacity and knowingness of who you truly are. And this all can be unfolded with remembering tech. This is a very advanced psionic, very useful, skips light years ahead in a single lifetime. That's why I loved going into it. So it's one of my favorite psionics. Amplification to it. I'm looking at the chat real quick. Okay, so you just saw an orb? Ooh, lovely. Love the orbs coming in. Yeah, we got a lot of spirits knocking at our door, so it's interesting. Okay, so it's like becoming acquainted with another aspect of yourself that's been dormant. Past lives, temporal dilations, visitations from ETs. There's many aspects to it. What do you think of the knocking on the door in the mind of why memory is so important? What can you tell us about it? And also go into your presentation.
Okay, so knocking in the door and memories awakened.
And your presentation.
Okay. So, as we were talking about the conference, I will address firstly to my presentation, which was on plasma body activation. For the ones that are already tuned into what I do, I use ancient technology, like the code, all the information that we get to perceive in ancient sites, in ancient texts, and bring it, translate it as this high technology that I bring it as codes, as frequencies, as geometries, and that then these enable quantum leaps of evolution in every person that experiences them, because actually that's the way that in the ancient times they would evolve, they would sustain the level of frequency. When we see all this magnificent knowledge and wisdom portrayed by these ancient civilizations, we see that they knew the how to, and they were very accurate about it. They would take it very seriously because they knew how fragile and how subtle and how deep and profound is our capability to generate our experience and how powerful we are with just one action. Now, if we assume all that power and enable the tools within us, which are our own nature, like plasma is, then we are evolving at a higher pace. We are generating a deeper resonance with the universe. And plasma, for instance, if you haven't heard about what plasma is, we talked about plasma last show. And well, now I will just synthesize it. And for every drop in our blood, it's 50% that we have of plasma. So imagine when you hear about the space being the 99.9999999% of the wholeness, and that matter is just that small percentage, we could relate that plasma is the same. And that the more that we enhance our connection with plasma, the more that we will discover our capability of regeneration, rejuvenation, connecting and embodying unlimited energy, have a better memory, because then we are expanding our neurons to the space memory. And this might sound kind of scientific. It is, because in ancient times it was the science of the spirit, or the spiritual science. There was no division in between them, no separation. And one would lead to another. So the plasma body activation is something that is being required at this moment. At least this is what I have received, because we as interstellar bodies, our constitution in our biology is mostly plasma, bottom line. So if we access and command that plasma to enable our full potential in our brain, to expand our consciousness, to access to abilities like telekinetic abilities, telepathic, all is related to plasma. When we talk about the chi or the varaka, all this vital force, it is related to plasma. When we talk about our solar plexus, that's why it's solar plexus, because it is radiating plasma, because that's where most mitochondria are. And wow, so, and this, for instance, when we see about all these aurora borealis, these solar flares that are happening more and more, and that there are these black holes in the sun, and that there are spaceships witnessed like sucking plasma from the sun. Why would that be? Well, many reasons. One of them is actually accessing to the divine essence of the universe and expanding the potential of technological tools, weapons, whatever. So if we take advantage, and on our behalf and the behalf of humanity evolution, all this plasma that is coming into the field, we're capable to evolve into higher forms of consciousness, because actually there are a lot of beings like ETs, which body is plasma, and those are the highest forms of consciousness that, well, one of the highest forms of consciousness that there are. And we can also say that it's ourselves from the future mirroring. So how can we achieve that, to expand our consciousness at that level? Talking to your body, assuming the power of your body, igniting your body. If at some point we allowed our potential to be acknowledged as crap or as garbage, like for instance the DNA, the garbage DNA, and we assume that at some point it took us a while to stop and ask ourselves, why would we have garbage in our body, in our DNA? Like even garbage, the one that we take out, it goes back to the earth, and actually it makes it more beautiful. Well, depending on the method. But, like when we're talking about organic things like our body itself, our nature, then we are capable to know that every element alive in our body has a divine nature to access to a higher version of ourselves, a more evolved version of ourselves. Now, are we just taking a ride in our reality, or are we holding the guidance and the leadership for our own reality?
Wonderful. Yeah, and with plasma, this higher dimensional plasma is bringing it down, the greater unfoldment of the storage of consciousness and the antenna of our body and cells that receive it. Yeah.
Tell us about your presentation.
In my presentation, I go into targeted individuals, how to stop the targeting, what procedures to learn to overcome any targeting, defense, offense, reflection, camouflage, fortress, how to resolve different types of energy coming at you, the ET visitations of the Merther that I've had, and how to prevent abduction scenarios, and what it is in abduction proofing, what you have to do to make it so that things stop taking you at night, as well as either military abduction or ETs. And if everyone's got soul family that they came here with on a mission, so you can how to contact them and make it more comfortable for them to come visit you, interact with you, and experiences you can remember, what's preventing them, and going into memory psionics, which didn't fully get to touch on as much, but this is a good opportunity, as well as we'll have more in the future, as it's a big rabbit hole with many turns of why we forget in the first place. So what do you think memory is, and how it works, and what's your opinion on memory in general?
Well, for me, memory is, as I was saying in the beginning, it relates everything, because memory is information, and we are information. We are energy, which we translate as information. So we are all memory, and that's one way to connect directly to the universe, because the universe itself is space memory, is a lattice. So now, there are many ways in which, because if we are talking about remember who you are, when we can ask ourselves, like, if I have had many incarnations and I'm an old soul and I have experienced many things, why don't I remember as I remember what I did yesterday? Some people can say, well, because it's too much memory in the hard drive, you need to put an alternate memory, a hard drive, another hard drive, an external one. So that is somehow how we function. The thing is that at some point, there are many layers to where we left that hard drive, that external hard drive. And I'm just saying this, as Sean said, we are covering it today at a very basic form, because we will be going deeper on other shows about this. So right now it's how, like, everybody is quite related to emotions, which are energy in motion. We all go, or most of us go through the stage where we are denying our emotions. We don't like to feel our emotions, yet it is our emotions that mostly anchor our memories and at a specific coordinate in the Cartesian plane. Why? Just a question. If you had a bad experience and you permeated that experience in your memory, in your cell memory, it will be easier for you to remember about those experiences, right? Like, what kind of experiences are the ones that you remember easily? Okay, the more emotional your experience, the more anchored is the memory to your cells. Okay, so as we know, as multidimensional beings, our body has many layers. We're not just a physical body, meaning flesh, bones, and everything else. And it goes a little bit more complex than just the ethereal body. There are different layers as the light spectrum or the spectrum of light. And depending, we have at every layer of in each one of our bodies, different memories anchored based on the hierarchy or the importance that they have. So it is something very interesting, like when I was talking about emotions and the implications that these emotions have in our everyday life and our relation to our own memories. Then you can say, wow, as a soul, I have had experienced so many things, being killed, being, like all kind of things, good ones and bad ones, or difficult ones and easy ones. So then why I would not be able to remember? And that's the beauty of it. And I will call in the mirrors. Because as I was saying, we will go deeper. We were saying we will go deeper in other shows about this topic. Yet, for instance, how our brain functions. We have in the neocortex, in our frontal lobe, we have these mirror neurons. And these mirror neurons, they are in charge of the empathy, like when you feel good or bad about someone. It's those neurons that are reflecting yourself in the other one. So this is where it becomes very powerful, more powerful even, that we are capable to remember through what we mirror in the other. What we get to perceive in the other, and we wouldn't remember about ourselves, by just perceiving it in the other, it activates with it.
Nice. Yeah, and this conference was a great point in remembering. It brought up a lot of visions, and that kept asking me to look at them and meditate into it and experience. And I remembered some things in interacting with some of the speakers, so it was nice. And went into interesting triggering of the things that people talked about that most people don't get a chance to even understand or know is a possibility, and then could be a thing that you experience yourself, which I'll go into more in depth. But yeah, definitely check it out, and we'll be speaking next year at the 2025 Full Disclosure Movement.org Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida. So look into that and see Brian Singh on Facebook and other resources at that same website. If you want to get things ready so it's all nice and cheap for you, and getting your tickets to see a huge amount of speakers. And if it's anything like this one, yes, that was powerful and beautiful and fun, and so glad I was invited to speak.
So grateful.
Yeah, so in memories, there's a lot. There's so much to go into. I'm writing just tons of information. I'm almost taking my entire journal out for memory. So there'll be a lot of information we'll be able to give to you about it. So the things in memory to remember, which is wonderful, is this timeline, this lifetime, the branches of visitation that you might have off it in like ET or military or positive, negative, in visitation or abduction, because a lot of people, whether you know it or not, have been visited by ETs in some way, shape, or form at least once, because we're kind of seen as a big mystery box of souls, brave souls that came here to do a big chess move. There's a line waiting to get in, so everyone here is unique and adds an equation to being here. Nobody doesn't have a purpose and a meaning behind themselves, where they came from, being usually a big shot, a big mover and shaker for the light or the dark, or an anchor for some remedy for their soul group. And them being treated, by the negative forces as chattel and farm and energy harvesting and abilities, rare abilities as a super hybrid race. So there's a lot going on. So there's this timeline memories, which is one of the easiest things to work on. The next easiest is dreaming body remembering. So like getting it so that because you're always dreaming. So you have a multidimensional body aspect to yourself that's experiencing other realms. And it might not just be dream realms. It could be astral realms. It could be other timelines. It could be other existences in other realms. And those being translated through the dreaming body experience and the ego filter. And a lot of those want to stop you from remembering. And there's ways that the memory just fades after you wake up or goes away instantly. And there's ways to stop that and define what it is. And then so you can retain your memory, have a very HD experience, get out of any matrixy dreams or things that are distractions. It's very lovely. And then...
Yeah. I would love to talk about the matrixy dreams. It's something that I enjoy because most people don't know what matrixy dreams are. Okay, so the term of matrixy dreams came into when I was having this very earthly oniric experience, like going through events from my past that I was wondering, like, where is this coming from? I don't relate to this. And then I saw a being that told me, and I went and he opened the veil, and I could see what was really going on in the background, So then I understood and I remembered that these are films that are set in our unconscious, and that if we are not aware of this, we continue to replay them continuously. And then, for instance, going through those analysis of your subconscious mind and saying, oh, I have to work this, I have to work that. And maybe those are things that you're not even related with, but as you dreamt about it, then you think you are, and you still need to do some work about it. And then you end up perpetuating that reality because you believe it is. And that's how a huge leak of energy is generated. So the moment that you untangle, that you not reflect yourself in those dreams, the moment that you say, okay, that's not real, those are matrixy dreams. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's like a distraction dream, keep you in the matrix. There's a lot of layers, the matrix, predator, system simulations, prisons, a lot of layers, keeping people in the state of what we believe is human, to keep the game going while harvesting off us and keeping us oppressed, keeping us asleep, keeping us remembering, keeping us dumbed down. So part of that is limiting dreams, keeping people from remembering them. And if they do remember them, putting useless school. You're in school dream, and they're making you take a test you didn't study for, and you're in your underwear. It's like embarrassing, or you make your like a monster follows you to chase after you, and you can barely move, and it causes negative emotions or fear or depression or anger or something you wake up with, and it messes with your day. And there's like really no meaning behind it positively other than messing with you. And sometimes they have a deeper meaning, just going along with like an attachment and things to take care of and look at. But there's deeper dream meanings besides translation and symbolism, what you experience in another realm. And those are the deeper dreams that show you who you are, and remembering and past life dreams and other timelines of yourself, and experiencing and translating into knowingness abilities that you demonstrate more easily in other realms. And then the knowingness adds to the piece of the puzzle of how to piece together things in the stream. Inventions, great ideas and creations and creativity and movie ideas and book ideas and all this stuff that like we bring from the dreams and make part of this dream and what we have as a dream. It's wonderful. So yeah, there's that. So those are the two parts I recommend people start with: this timeline, if you forgot things on this timeline, and then temporal dilations, as well as dream memory. Those are the easiest to get back and stabilize, as well as keep from it being taken from you. So there's a lot of layers to that, and I'll go into the layers. Then the next one is muscle memory, which goes into what your body can do, skill sets in physicality, including bleed overs from past lives and things you've learned. So those are a good one to stabilize. The next easiest, and then soul memory and conscious mind with the first easiest one. Soul memory, then and DNA, ancestry, and past lives is the next one, next easiest. Bleeding over essentially memories from past lives, who you are, integrating yourself, why you are the way you are in positive and negative, things you need to resolve, things that are wounds waiting to heal, integrated abilities and knowledge and things you can go into, teaching methods and to bring in the moment of now. DNA ancestry, things that are cool, things passed down, because DNA is more than 80% memory, and it's mostly how things are stored in information. So you can get things from your DNA ancestry, like that video game Assassin's Creed that has the military. The military actually still does have, at this point in underground bases, the ability to read DNA and bring it up on the screen. So that's interesting tech to be able to vision, journey, quest, and experience your ancestors, and then integrate their knowledge, wisdom, information, skills, and abilities. And there's a mystery school in that. The soul memory, soul is a big part of memory to begin with. So it has a lot of the tech involved and power and storage. So there's a lot there, and mostly having to do with who you are and abilities, etc., and what you're meant to do to upwell in knowingness. After soul memory, the next easiest, it gets harder and harder essentially each time. Ability, knowing, learning, which goes into just automatically, it's like savant, or like you're born with it and you're really good at it. That's essentially what people have bleed over when they're really good at something, and they're just born with it because they've learned it from other lifetimes or somewhere else. And then subconscious, which goes into, if you can remember things your subconscious picks up on, like things you wouldn't normally do, and you record it in a stable, efficient way that doesn't interfere with your life. It's like the movie Limitless, where he could understand the habit patterns of all humanity and use it in the stock market, and then gain a whole bunch of money, and then know how, remember a book that he vaguely read back in high school and saw it in intuition and was able to connect to someone deeper on a greater level and understand human behavior, and then change his whole timeline. It's like, so, goes into genius level mode. Then after that, astral memory, which your astral body, unless it's shut down, which, if you've had flying dreams or out of body dreams, or what's that, when you have sleep paralysis, then it's like your astral body calling you to have an experience. And there might be something messing with that, of course, if it's like a demon on your chest, but it still means that you have the capability and it's active and it's part of the spiritual body. So then going into memory retrieval of and experiencing what your astral body is doing, which, like the dream body, if it's advanced enough, it can be doing things all the time and you can experience into the astral realm. After that, it goes into the more harder things, which is other timelines, temporal dilation, which is, you can get a little bit back in the beginning, but if you want to get the most back, it's hard. There's a lot of blocks on that. And also, if you have your DNA stolen by negative ETs or military or something, and you got clones of yourself, then that's technically part of your spirit. And so they can connect to you, and you can have visual bleed overs and emotional bleed overs, and it can affect you negatively if it's being abused. But then you can also get the memory retrieval. And there's like more advanced psionic abilities going into replication and bilocation that's similar to clone, which is like a replica of yourself, and then you be able to shift the experience and understand what it went through and remember it all. So those are some of the memories you can tap into with memory psionics. So it's a playground of awesomeness that expands and grows you leaps and bounds in a lifetime. That's why I'm going into it. So if you're interested in this stuff, you can talk to us and start unlocking your memory. And she's very good at memory as well. And this also, the greater technology that leads to photographic memory, eidetic memory, where you can record everything very photographically that ever happened to you. Those are some of the gifts and treasures waiting for people that go down this rabbit hole of discovery and release the blocks off of everyone that holds them back from having that efficient system working in their body that we've scanned and have teamed up together to unlock more and more, so that your learning capacity is greater, faster. You skip ahead, everything speed reading. It makes your whole life better. Business, ability to survive, to thrive, and go beyond what people think humans can do into superhuman.
Yeah. Well, about all those forms of relating to memory that you were mentioning. The funny thing is that I was talking, for instance, about the emotional, how the emotions influence deeply our memory. Yet, for instance, if you're having like an adrenaline burst, at that moment you are located in a survival mode and you cannot remember of anything. It's like you're shocked, you're paralyzed, And if we tune into the effect that adrenaline has in our body, then we will relate it to, of course, the survival mode, and therefore to a lot of the consequences of not being able to connect with our highest form or version of ourselves. So if we ask ourselves how, why we constantly could be derived into a state of survival mode, and then it will bring us to a level where we are generating a lot of emotions yet not being able to be responsible for them. So therefore, it's like we are being an energy host, like spreading energy all over, and a lot of egregores, taking advantage of those candies and all those juice that energy flow represents to them, to harvest and their own egregores, their own networks. And that's sadly what is happening to most people that is not aware of this. So yeah, Kitty, they were right. And for instance, now it is mostly related to memory. There is this part in the brain, the hippocampus, that is mostly related to memory. Actually, most of the studies that neuroscientists have done are in the area of the hippocampus. And they say that, of course, you don't see like all the files there, your soul files there piled up in your hippocampus, because it's not something physical. It is at a quantum level, and it's entangled with the space memory. That's why when we are capable, for instance, to take all those emotions that, for instance, in those matrixy dreams that we were talking about, and know that we are very powerful. Therefore, that we are being invited to generate so many emotions. Yet, very few people take responsibility, as you say, about those emotions. Then all that power goes elsewhere. And if we say that energy is power and that energy is information, then somehow our memories are being derived as well to those hosts. So it is a whole link, everything is connected. So the more we are capable to assume our emotions and ask ourselves, where is this coming from? Because we were not being given the multidimensional body just to, wash our hands and say, whatever, I'm just here, just being. I mean, you can do that. The thing is that you were being given the power of the universe. You're the universe yourself. And this is something that if we get to practice day by day, we get to do it more natural, at some time it just becomes automatically, and yeah, because this topic is so deep, like so deep. And the thing is that, I mean, bottom line, for now, at least for now, if we say that we came here to remember, if we, for instance, if you close your eyes just for a bit and you tune into all your bodies, all the bodies that are layering on one onto another, and if you ask for your higher self, or how you want to address to that most evolved expression of yourself, to show to you where are the memories, for instance, that connect you to your origin as an interstellar being, as a cosmic being. In other words, from which planet you came from, And then you do this big meditation, and then you tune into which part or to which body those memories are entangled with the most. And then you start to unfold them. And well, there are many ways, but for instance, you start through your breath to unfold those memories and to ask where they are leading you to. And if you at that moment are not precisely aware or nothing comes to you, then you can also give the command to be shown, for it to be shown to you as the day goes by. And then you will start receiving like flashbacks or visions of it. if you're open from the heart. That's the biggest ingredient in this recipe, to say it somehow. To have your heart opened, to believe, to trust. Because you already are. When we think that we don't know something, this kind of adrenaline, like if you're in an exam, it starts to burst. You have the adrenaline going under because maybe you don't know what you're going to be examined with. The thing is that when we remember that we already know it, and that within the infinite field of probabilities, that has already happened, then we become more confident and we open up into a receptive state from the heart that is capable to alchemize any emotion, derive it as the fuel to enhance our connection to those memories and bring them back to life.
Yes, memory retrieval, remembering, meditation, very important. You can bust through any block that's coming at you or on you already that's wanting you to stop from remembering something important. And there's a list of things your soul and higher self have made for you, and you made before you forgot, like the great forgetting before everyone incarnates as a human being. There's a list waiting for you to discover of the most important things for you to remember, and I recommend practicing remembering those first because they, also take you leaps and bounds, and that you're going to forget. So there's that, and also like other systems of experience where you're going to forget it or be put through forgetting, amnesia blocks, or all these lists of things that I have that are put on people's minds and their souls to stop them from remembering. It's a lot. So yeah, it's too much for most people, which is the reason they're doing so much is because it does so many things to the timeline. If people start remembering, it breaks apart the system of domination control. It breaks apart their dark ability to control and mind control and limit, and it holds the ability for us to have this play, which there's a good and a bad to it, but it's mostly negative, and it's meant for us to be a challenge to overcome and then become immune to, and then become immune to so many things stopping us from remembering and mind control. We're going to become immune to a lot of that stuff as we push through it all and break through. But you can break through in meditation of remembering, which we have a version of this and can guide you through for any particular memory you want. I also am very interested in full recall, which is something that CERN people experience partial recall a lot more for a timeline of themselves in like the secret space program, and it comes back to them and they're like, whoa, what the heck? And then they start speaking about it. It's very emotional a lot of the time and sometimes very abusive, which is sometimes why it's breaking through. A lot of the more abusive wounds break through first, I've noticed, because they need the person to heal from it, and they have symptoms. And then as you go deeper into yourself and the onion layer of psychological archaeology, you discover it, and then it unfolds when you get to the core of it. And then it just keeps breaking through more and more details and visions and emotions. And that's like the easy things to remember. So I recommend doing that. If it has, substantial, impactful, emotional data behind it, stored in essentially part of the soul, branches off the mind, the consciousness, branching off the ego that then compartmentalizes in an altar to take care of it later as a survival mechanism, or if it's artificially made as an altar and have amnesia barriers put around it to stop a person to remember, you can still unlock it. And I recommend as many people as possible go into that and test a method and journey that's internally waiting for them to go down, and we can help you to go through it faster. But meditating helps, and then feeling into each of these things that may not be coming from this regular life timeline. And then you can tune into some weird stuff, like if you have PTSD but you didn't go to war or whatever. Those are the easy ones. They're still not easy, but they're easier than other things to remember, especially if the memory's been destroyed, which there is a remedy for, and it's still hard copy, saved somewhere in the body, in the soul, so that can be recovered. It's also when you're going into memories that have been stolen from you. Those are a little easier to get back, but you got to deal with whatever stole it from you. Those can come back with deep emotions. Usually, if anything's willing to put that much effort into stopping you from remembering, it's something pretty powerful and important, and will change your timeline and affect the rest of the world, which is why they're threatened by it, which is why this whole thing is set up to keep people from remembering these things. Do you want to go into any of that?
No, because then we would expand and open the files and the archives. And I believe that this is a topic to go through in different shows, because
a little bit, if you want. And then we'll go into more shows, of course. Yeah, and also there's big predators that are part of the invasion of the planet at the fall of Atlantis, and other invasions that are, if you go in the records before and after, there's like, well, do we always forget and have amnesia as a species when we're being born? Did we always forget our past lives? No.
Actually, now that you're talking about amnesia, I would consider it as a glimpse, like there is a short circuit, like makes it, and then the memory is lost at that moment. And then it's like it generates a void. That's why it's a glimpse. And if we translate it as in our everyday life basis, then it's the fact when our brain hemispheres are not fully connected, are not fully synced. So the moment that they are fully synced, then this not happens. Why? Because there is not happening this glimpse, like this short circuit. That is what generates more and more an abysm in between the lost memories, and making it more difficult for those neurons that are inactive at some moment can generate synapses to expand and connecting between them more, creating new neuronal paths, which are actually the full potential of our neuronal paths. Now, this doesn't stop at a biological scale. This extends all the way to the space memory. So that's why sometimes, like if you go to Google or if you go to the iCloud and then you're looking for some information and then you access to it, that you can do it. You can do it yourself. Access to the space memory without reading something, without diving into the web, you can access to that just by knowing how to tune into the right circuits within your brain. And sometimes it is just
psychic
about
internet.
It is about
psychic iCloud.
Yeah. It is about intermittence. Why? Because, for instance, what would be a glimpse? Would be an acceleration of a beaming, in your neurons, and then, it burns. Your circuit burns. But there is this thin line that before bursting out, you can compress it. How? Breath work, keep remaining in access, and literally visualizing this. And if you're not much of a visualizing person or being, you can give the commands step by step. Mostly when you really work with your plasma body, then you're capable to have the energy to sustain your commands. It's not just saying, okay, yeah, I want this, universe, I want this. Yet it's bringing in all that power, all that energy within your body that interconnects you to the space memory, and actually giving a body to your commands coming from the space of the heart. This is also super important, because then you're doing it from a 0 point, which is a neutral point to some extent, which is the way to manifest from a state of coherence, because you're lighthearted. So, and like a kid, like children.
And how they remember more easily, or at least when you're a kid, you can remember past lives more easily.
Ooh, and this is so. Oh, thank you for mentioning this, because this is also very important. The part in our brain, the fontana, which closes at a certain age while we are kids. While it is open, it is easier, much easier to connect to the space memory. Imagine this vault, and that it's also, we'll consider a little bit like the celestial vault in our brain. So even though it has been shut down, the fontana, we're capable to reopen it energetically and connect it with specific star systems that are holding the space for us due to who you are and what your origins are. Because it's your star family, it's your star tribe, it's yourself from another dimension, a fractal of yourself. So yeah, there are many keys.
Yeah, and that's all other layers with the multidimensional memory. That's Akashic memory, and through DNA lineage, your ancient off-world ancestral linkages to ETs and stuff that are part of our genetics, as well as if you go beyond that to where you don't have, if you don't have them in your genetics, you somehow link them light body wise, or receive the ability to perceive that as an antenna, because you got a more advanced thing in your body than all the computers that we know exist combined. So yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can go through the questions or
Yeah,
the
sure.
comments.
Yeah, just wanted to go into. There's this. I like to expose any predators messing with me and other people. Around the fall of Atlantis and other points in time and invasions, there start to become a haze of what we call the Great Forgetting, that where people start incarnating and they forget less and less of their previous incarnations. Other worlds don't always have this. It's not like a natural system, so it's an added system. And through the invasions, corruption ensued, and targeting and overpowering, imprisoning, devouring of big authorities like angels and authority founders and gods for memory, to prevent beings from remembering in the long-term chess move game into the future who they are, disempower them, turn them into slaves, make it so that this whole system can keep going, so abilities can be harvested off of, so that big predators that don't deserve abilities steal them from us, and they forget who were behind these big incursions, and they become a problem that runs into the future and is not easily solved. So there are big predators that wounded in some degrees, all the way up to even devoured some deities of memory that have been lost and forgotten to time, these deities of memory. And also the authority of the prime creative galaxy that people call God, or the fractal aspect of the one above all of creation, the source of all creation consciousness. That has many fractals that anchor to many planetary and celestial bodies, such as the Earth and the Moon, and those get wounded too by taking. They take wounds to protect the rest of consciousness. They fall in grenades for us, lovingly. And during those big invasions, they've taken big wounds, and their authority has been stolen for allowance of forgetting and cause, which is the eminence of what causes the great forgetting. And those are actually really big problems, but it's probably harder for most people to even solve them. But I'm letting you know about it, so people can eventually grow up to that point. Okay, let's go into comments. Is it possible for someone to steal our gifts? Yes, unfortunately. Theft is a big issue with what evil does. But you can always get them back, and you just build up from easier things to retrieve your stuff back to harder, which take more abilities and deterrence and offense, defense, and ability to stop or resolve or heal yourself, and by extension, the why the being is in lack in the first place, whether you want to do the strong arm method or the healing method, which I like doing the healing method. Yes, spiritual gifts as well will come to you as you grade in your remembering. Automatically, you start remembering all those, imagine you being able to tap into all your martial art past lives, or mystery school past lives, or magic past lives, or before big falls and invasions where the reality had less rules and superpowers flourished. You get big pieces of what it takes to manifest those superpowers again, and then demonstrate them here now with the knowingness of what it takes to deal with them with extra rules, because they have needed protection from all the predators stealing them and threats in the environment. Yeah. Can we pay you to help us get our gifts back? Yes. Yes, you can. Thank you. Appreciate that. Feel free to come to us and contact us for that. Yeah. We're both very good at that. And will empower you greatly. So often past lives, etc. memories carry a dominant theme that plays throughout multiple people. Absolutely. You want to talk about that?
Sure. Well, better you address to that.
Okay. So yeah, people ask me to what's going on in past lives, and there's like an anchor and a thread through their heart that bleeds over, and you can track it back, and it demonstrates an outpour of like a current of influence. Some is more open, like a current, so like where the fullness comes through, or if it's less in like a trickle. Either way, something is bleeding over that affects the personality of the person coming through and shining out, such as their tastes, their things that they're passionate about, they love, their joys, things that they want to become, their flourishments, the things that they're naturally good at, their quirks. That when you compare all these different people, everyone has a different kind of personality and what they're interested in. Some people really like pirates, and that usually goes into things that maybe they were a pirate in past lives. If you watch movies and like especially having to do with the past, and you get tears, you get these soul tears and these weird emotional outbursts from a scene or an event, that usually tells you about yourself and something that just either was bleeding over before or started to trigger and starts bleeding over again, and it allows that current to flow even more. So look for those things to trigger the memory.
Yeah, it's what I was talking about at the beginning of the video about the mirrors. When we are not capable to directly remember about something, then we will project in front of ourselves the situations that will mirror or make ourselves remember through mirrors what we need to remember or what we need to bring back to life in our reality. And for instance, how I see it is, if we look at a hierarchy of importance and the memories that we need to connect with in order to fulfill our life purpose, our mission, then they will reflect at different scales, and this light that you cannot, you cannot look at other side, because it's so intense that you need to look at it, you need to take care about it, and it's expanding through all your reality. Well, we would say that those are plasmic memories that are the most sacred and pure within our reality that we need to take care of. Other ones will be more dense, and actually they expand the other way around. Like instead of expanding light, they are, like feeding from your light. And those are also to be taken care of if you don't want energy leaks. And those are mostly entangled to your emotional body and your cellular body, even though you did not experience them in this lifetime. Why? Because our physical body is the highest density that we count on at this moment. This is why we are here in this 3D. So that those ones are the ones that are anchoring us to this reality. So if you look at it this way, those are very sacred as well, because due to them is that we are alive. And if we transcend them, we're not going to die. Yet our body is going to become more subtle, and then capabilities as levitation will be more probable. So.
Yeah, the abilities come online when, it's more harder to manifest bigger abilities. You got to know more. And memory is a big part of knowingness. It's like how you store all that information for knowingness to build upon. So it's very important in knowingness, your capacity to remember. And yeah, hey Jessica, thanks for joining us, and thank you everyone else for joining us. 333,
yeah. Someone mentioned the 444. Talking about 333.
I wanted to ask you stuff about the moon, like going into how it has to do with the great forgetting. As in, I don't blame the moon entirely or anything like that. I'm not like a moon hater. I love the moon. It's a very important structure that helps life and thriving, and it adds a big chess move to our psychic nature and empathic ability, and so many other layers, tidal shifts and plant life. So there's a lot of important stuff with the moon, but it's also been deeply wounded, and its main spirit is pretty much in a coma, and it's being abused in a lot of ways, and it has a type of, besides the Earth having its own matrix, it has a matrix. So there's like layers of it being abused, and also the source fractal of the prime period of the galaxy that is stationed with the moon is also wounded. So that's also being abused to cause a whole bunch of forgetting for this planet. And that's why that's a layer of why people call lunatics interactive. People born in interaction with a certain phase of the moon, as well as spirits that hit the moon when they die and go to the astral, and they bounce back. And there's like rumors of that being part of what keeps people in the reincarnation grid. Or, there's all kinds of theories to it, but there seems to be a eminence of a hijacking of the moon that messes with our remembering. What would you say to that? And again, I love the moon. It has a good and a negative aspect, and as we heal it, we bring it back to its greater state.
Well, the moon, as we know, was created as we know it. At least this is what I perceive, because the algorithms that the moon has synced to the Earth are so accurate that it's like they were meant to be for one another. So when we go deep into this, then we see that the direct influence that the moon has on the tidal motion in the water in the Earth goes through the magnetic field. So when we talk about the magnetic field, we're talking about mass, and we're talking about Planck units. So these Planck units are directly connected also to the plasma. Actually, when we talk about the moon as the primordial records for the moon, it comes to me this white luminescence, plasmic luminescence, that enables the primordial records in the human related to release itself, its blueprint, its human blueprint from time. So if we talk about the water and the relation to the emotional body, it is direct because our emotional body, it is our own waters. So, and the bridge for me into the quantum field in this physical realm would be the water bridging into plasma and then accessing to the quantum field. So the quantum field is memory. Imagine memory. And all this information, all this energy. So, yeah, for me, how the moon influences the memory is, again, when you are not aware of the influences that external factors have over your emotions, and then you expand your emotional body onto an extent that you just go into static state that you cannot remember. And the thing is that this is progressive. There is also a way to go backwards, like to reverse it. The thing is that if you're not aware of it, it's progressive. So the more you're driven by your emotions, by your waters, by thickening your mass through the magnetic field of the moon, then you're densifying yourself, your frequency, and therefore all the capability to remember stops into an emotional tide. So on the other hand, if you own those emotions, you can use the frequency of the moon, all this plasmic um, generator emanating to the field as this in order to enhance the alchemical processes that you're capable to perform by mastering your own emotions. That's why also when we talk about the full moon, they say that it's the best phase of the moon to do magic, to materialize, because then you're using that force, that plasma, to create and to generate results or the outcomes that you are mostly aligned to.
Yeah, exactly. Moon magic is powerful. It goes into many subjects and areas. Whew. Yeah, the phase of the moon, big. So the planetary body needs healing and wholeness and a lot of restoring. And as you do what you're best at in trade and commerce to the moon, it will give back to you. And reflecting. Moonlight is very powerful. It charges many things that you put it under. It in alchemy with like creating different materia, bringing out of the ether when I'm making things like ormus. It brings more matter out of the ether when I do it in the full moon. You can go into manifesting. The tidal interaction affects our blood and the cycles. Yeah, there blood magic. There goes into it amplifies everything possible on the full moon, including fertility. A lot of species are more amplified in being able to breed on the full moon, and as you'll find, they do it, like turtles and parasites and things that are low in their fertility, or they have a specific timing or a place. They usually like to do it with the certain cycle of the moon that's linked to it. It's very powerful. You can manifest, you can amplify. There's a lot of reasons people do their moon rituals. And besides that, so it's also a divine feminine consciousness. It's amplifying all the sensual aspects of our psychic bodies in all the senses, the five senses and beyond the five senses, supernatural senses. And it amplifies empathy and ability to know, because through the emotional body brings knowingness capability. And it can be, fluctuating with us, but if we flow with it, then it is not going to harm us. It just brings up things we're ready to face that are holding us back, and we can transmute that negative emotion into positive. We can turn all the negative pain and trauma and negative motion we've been through and attachment dumped on us into the fertilizer for our garden of happiness and growth. Let's see, go through comments. Oh yeah, you're talking about moon. Hey Marina, good to hear from you. Yeah, our super fun concept of discussion. Are you to align with the cycles of the moon and energy is not by the form? Is it something I need to work on as my energy provides more for myself and others? Do you want to go into the cycles of the moon with women? Do you want to talk about?
Sure.
And I'll go into anxiety since it's not too.
Yeah, sure. As I was mentioning, in every drop of blood that we have, there is much more plasma than, for instance, platelets or any other neurochemical, chemical component to our blood. So that is telling us something. If we say that our blood is quite influenced by the moon phases, then what is it influencing truly? And it's the plasma. Again, so
all the waters of existence get pulled by the moon and the plasma and the DNA and the pericardium of the heart.
Yes. So now that you mentioned, well, that will be another topic, but so I'm quite sure that most of you have heard about this experiment that if you put in a room a specific amount of women and with different cycles, like having their period at different times or bleeding, at some point they will sense. At the same time, they will be having their period. And this shows us how we are capable, how we are entangled and sharing and mirroring to one another. So for me, it's mainly about that. Like when we generate a way to say mirror, and by saying about the mirror neurons, it's empathy. So until what extent are we generating empathy and to what? So for instance, if we are connecting inherently with the moon, you don't care about the moon. You even have a little bit of dissonance with the moon. You don't like it, whatever, just an example. But you're continuously your cycles are being dictated by the moon. Your bleeding is being dictated by the moon, and you're not generating any empathy to the moon. The thing is that there are some inner codes, primordial codes, inherent codes that are reflecting to the moon, and that is anchored in the human's blueprint. And if we go a different scale, then we would say our DNA, our blood is mirroring to the moon, to plasma. So, and mostly, if we look at algorithms, there is a very important one, which is 108. And the 108 code is, for instance, the times that the moon, if we multiply the moon 108 times, it gives us the distance in between the moon and the Earth. And if we multiply the moon 108 times, it will give us the diameter of the sun. So the moon, as I was saying earlier, has very accurate, a very accurate relation and precise relation to the Earth. So the distance in between the Earth and the moon and the magnetic field is so strong that it inherently has very deep influence to the water, to the blood, through the plasma. There are different beliefs that there are parts of the moon that are still in Earth, in the Earth's core. Some people don't accept that those beliefs, like scientifically proved. Some of them do sustain them, scientifically proved. Bottom line is that there is information in the Earth, archaic information that is reflecting directly to the moon. And the more that we remember what that information is, the more that we will understand why the moon is so directly connected to the earth, the more that we will remember what is in the moon. All those labs, all those banks of like genetic banks, and all those storages that are in the moon. Why? And mostly not become an enemy of it, yet find the point of communion to own that and connect to that part, that frequency of the moon, that primordial frequency that actually is enabling a huge power within, that is related to alchemical processes, that if we own it, we are capable to expand our potential at a very high pace, because the frequency of the moon is proportionally, we could proportionally relate it to the potential energy. If we own our potential energy, we're capable to manifest.
Yeah, and the bleeding cycles an opportunity to reflect, introspection, go deep into yourself, and then vocalize what you find as you translate emotions that have deep information. And it also goes into a state of opportunity for purification, for divine feminine generators in the organs that amplify psychic abilities of many types. And there's good and bad to blood magic. The bad is that it can attract entities. If you're sacred with it, then it amplifies everything, because every unit of blood and plasma and the platelets have big magnetic fields that have tons of generators in them, and then tons of information. And they're you can use them for many things. That's why so many religions use blood magic.
Actually, if I may say, the first forms of sacrifices where it was offering the menstrual blood to the altar, it was not about killing. It was about offering the menstrual blood.
Vikings, they use it. They would have women give them granted blessings on their armor of menstrual cycle blood that would give them luck in battle. And then going deeper, the shedding of an egg represents a lot too, and the purification of that area. So the more safe a generator feels, like in less attachment to it and less things draining from it, the more energy it generates. So in that cycle, you can make it even greater. For anxiety, really good question. Yeah, okay, so you came to the right place. I'm super good with anxiety. So anxiety, if you want to solve it, it centers in the solar plexus area where the stomach is. And it represents a yang explosive aspect of emotion that represents something being a threat in the environment, and it initiating that. It could be internal, external, a trigger, a memory, an altar coming up, all kinds of, it could be a person in the environment. It could even just be negatively programmed to go off if even a mouse farts in the environment, which is overactive anxiety. Either way, you can purify this, and it's the solar plexus, the ego, and the power center is the main thing having to do with it. It represent a visual representation would be the power aspect of your being is being threatened. Like if you're around a person that has negative vampiric attachment, or an old boyfriend, an old lover, or something that, like, most people on this planet have a little bit of haunting. So no judgment to anyone. There's going to be these little feeder tube threads that attach to the power center and drain energy. Whenever you feel anxiety, it's meaning that your power that you're storing is under threat. So you can do purification methods to that area and make it feel love and safe. Hug it, hug the ego, hug your solar plexus, hold the front and back of it, clearing methods such as, like, I activate by pressing a button in my palm chakra. to activate a portal for like by holding it for 5 minutes at least. That sucks away negative energy and clears it out like a vacuum. Or you could just like hold it in the area, bring it focus, love, healing, purification, and you make the star of the generator, that is your main power center in your solar plexus, burn brighter and brighter like a star that gets more light and more heat and can burn up any threat to it, and engulfs it with love and gratitude in a flame that engulfs that feeder tube, and then uses that as fuel that makes it stronger in being able to protect itself. And the more your power and solar plexus, soul, and ego feel safe by taking care of the threats, the more you'll become immune to anxiety, and it'll go away.
Yeah, and nowadays, like mostly what is being generated in humanity is anxiety, stress, all these emotions that lead you to survival mode. Like you're not capable to think of anything else. You're just like tuning into the emotion, which is, as Sean was saying, quite amplified. Yet it has a purpose. And for instance, anxiety, how I see it is that it's you're not even aware, yet you're being given like this film, this simulation or simulated film, and you're projecting into different scenarios of things that could be happening, that won't happen, that are not that are not real, and they're just set there to generate emotions within you. It's kind of the matrixy dreams, yet you're awake, you're conscious, and you're just not being aware of all these pictures, these images, these probabilities that are being shown to you, yet they are quite connected to the amygdaloid body, and it's generating you fear, it's generating you panic.
Fear in the kidneys.
Then you're amplifying
and
all
stress.
those emotions. You don't know why, they're just there being amplified, and you're wondering what's happening. And bottom line, you're generating tons of emotions, tons of energy, and if you don't own them, as Sean was saying and suggesting, then it leaks you energy, and then you're feeling all sucked up.
Yeah, exactly. So stress and fear is in the kidneys. You clear them of all attachment and drain, and they feel nice and happy, and they're generating positive emotion, the opposite of that stress, doing well and non-fight or flight. The anxiety, overwhelm, and nervousness is in the solar plexus, ego, the stomach area. All the ego center points in the solar plexus area, and the soul does. So all those are like your power centers. So the more you make them feel safe in generating and not being taken from and drained, because we're like batteries to a bunch of negative beings on the planet. And then you are able to accumulate and build and strengthen that energy so that it builds up in density, which leads to what people call ascension. And you start getting more luminosity, and it empowers past the survival mechanisms of your body to psychic abilities by letting your generators feel safer, and then you generating them yourself. Each negative motion means something. It's a current in energy and motion. It flows through the body. It can be generated by the different organs, your ego, the parts of it, different parts of your body. It can come from externally. Either way, if you understand what the motion is, how to turn it into a positive, it stops being a block and burden in your life, and you turn that into the block for the foundation of your structure, of your pyramid, that elevates you higher, and you transcend each of those negative emotions, each one of those sufferings, into what empowers you. You can start turning every one of those emotions as you give it love and you give it what it needs to turn into what it wants to become. It then starts becoming all these different things that you needed. That was the problem, you turn it into the opposite, like suffering into empowerment and healing and feeling great and bliss, and sadness into resilient happiness, fear into bravery, all the things to support yourself and getting to where you need to go and not stopping you anymore. And these emotions are there for us to master. This whole world has many layers of suffering for us to transcend, and then they're no longer harming us, and we flow them to where they need to go. And the moon is part of the amplification of that psychic sense. And as we clear our emotional body, all those psychic abilities turn on and get better and stronger, and we start knowing more of who we are and the greater universe that unfolds. We do have to go.
Yeah, I just want to. Someone mentioned Pleiades is 444 light years away, indeed. And actually, if we talk about the code 444, it's related to the DNA, which we can definitely talk about in another show, because it is related to the 12-stranded DNA. And it's also related to all this knowledge that the Pleiadian came with through the Mayans, the Maya, which are also related to the water, to the primordial waters. And the way to reconnect our connection to our primordial DNA and the primordial matrix beyond the simulated reality. Let's say to the cosmic, to the primordial womb, to put it somehow.
Great question. What would booking an hour with you entail? Healing gifts, getting more gifts, answering spiritual questions, soul questions. A lot. You'll be getting a big bang for your buck. You're definitely going to want to record it, and if in Zoom, you'll be able to record it. We like to pack in a lot of information. So you're going to most people don't remember it the first time, so you're going to be listening to it a lot, but we're going to give you as much a bang for your buck. And you can ask anything you want. And we go into teaching abilities, unlocking things, going to memory retrieval, amplifying your intelligence, getting rid of blocks, things limiting you, things that stole your abilities, retrieval of that power, soul shard retrieval, so many abilities, empowerment, going to past life readings, the plasma body upgrades. Man, there's a huge list that we do. So make a list. And we like solving problems, and we like taking on big challenges. And we're good at healing and pain release. What kind of things would you like to show them that they can get in an hour?
Translating it depends, because it can be very vast. It can be from translating your mission code or an encoded translation of your life purpose here, and reading it and exploring how to bring it to this reality, to manifest it in a simpler way using ancient technology. A lot of how to use your energy, how to use your emotions in order to achieve what Sean was mentioning. Where can you locate specific locks that you might have, and how to unlock them? How to unlock also other things for frequencies. How to access to very specific archives and unfold them in a very specific way in your geometrical body, so that it manifests in a very neat way. Because we are talking about unraveling your connection to the sixth dimension, which is where everything, all of this reality and beyond it, is created, designed. So start to connect with most evolved version of yourself, and be very comfortable about it, be very natural about it, and doing it more and more often. And of course, then other pathways to connect with other fractals, like more evolved fractals of yourself, and uniting with them and co-creating beautifully in between you. Also, is something that I can share with you. Many more things. Mostly that.
Okay, wonderful. And thank you for the questions. We do have to go. We would love to answer more questions. I'll talk to you guys, if you want, message me. Again, yeah, we go into unlocking many things. The question Marina had was, can we talk to people non-physical? Yes, mediumship, astral beings, all kinds of entities. We teach telepathy. So, yep, yeah, we can do that for you. And yeah, no, you'd be good at that one, but
yeah, we can do another show about that to talk about the moon.
Come to our next show and we'll answer your questions. So feel free to answer it again. Yeah, you can reach me at psionicleague.com, psionicleague@gmail.com, and PsionicLeague YouTube for a bunch of videos that unlock dormant abilities and superpowers demonstrated in videos that can download into your subconscious and give you the to-do list of how to manifest to yourself that starts unpacking. So there's a bunch of videos there waiting for you to start viewing of people demonstrating superpowers. Also, we got a mystery school and workshops going on and online video products that teach abilities. They're very cheap. We have a tour that is going to take you guys to very sacred places of power around the planet that you wanted to go, with teachers and workshops that unlock your superpowers, to go to these places of power like pyramids and awaken them, to bring them healing, protection, what they need as a puzzle completion. So giving them a lot, and they give back to you things like superpowers that they're good at as a place of power in the ley line grids. Many places we're planning on going, like Mexico, we're planning a big trip to very powerful places. We just did a trip to Egypt. We're also planning ones in England, Scotland, Ireland, Japan, Tibet, possibly Hawaii and India. So let us know which ones you're interested in. Inquiry into the trip and send us an email. What things would you like to plug? Also, we just did a conference, Full Disclosure Now movement, which we'll be speaking again next year. And we'll be uploading those, so look out for those videos.
Yeah, and if you're in resonance with all the information that we are sharing, stay tuned, because we will be doing a lot of shows with beautiful beings that are also in resonance with this information, and which purpose in common is to expand all these seeds so that you can reflect on that information and ignite it within you. So thank you everyone for your comments, for your questions. It's a beautiful way to reconnect with you all. And stay tuned to all the information and the ways that in which we will be approaching to you and continue to share all this information. Leave any comments about any topics that you would like for us to talk about, like Tiamat and the moon, and many other things. DNA.
So like this, click that like, subscribe to our channels, drop a comment and what you want to ask us about. We'll get back to you, and share this video far and wide. The more we see it, the more we'll know that you want to see this content, such as remembering and memory tech.
Thank you, everyone.
So we'll go into that more.
For your questions.
And we'll be able to get back to that grand information with what you're most interested in. We'll try out a bunch of different things, but the more views we see this video have, the ones we'll know that you want to remember. And we'll be dropping that free, glorious information for you. So hope you all had a good time, and love you very much. And let us know, and feel free to contact us more. And we offer sessions and consultations and clearing, healings, things that we can get rid of your anxiety and stress, and teach you all the methods of how to do it. And some for very cheap. And so feel free to contact us on that. Hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you all later.
And see you soon.